Happy Friday! I have a card for you today that I hope you'll enjoy. I broke out into another fun fold. And of course, I'm using this incredible Sand Dollar Seaside Wishes. But how cool is this? Yeah. So it's really, oops, I just hooked back in there. This is really, really easy. So this is going to be a short one today. So let's turn the camera down and get going. Okay, it looks ready to go. Hopefully we won't bump it here. All right, as I showed you, this is what we're making. So let's get going. The first thing you do is you're going to cut a backing sheet. And this is going to be your standard quarter sheet of cardstock. If you're working in metric, it's going to be 10.5 by 14.85. If you're working with imperial, it is going to be 4.25 by 5.5. So and it's just a single sheet. This is what we're going to, because you need it to back this so your envelope doesn't show. All right, so set that aside once you get that cut. I did this in the basic gray. So the next thing we need is a card base. And this is going to be cut smaller than what we're used to doing because you want a little bit of this gray to stick out. So let me give you the measurements for this. So if we're going metric, you want 14.5 instead of 8.5. And we're going to go with 20.4 centimeters across the top. So you can see that's a little bit shorter. And we're going to score at 10.2. Now if you're doing this in imperial, I'll give you those measurements. They're going to be 8 inches by 5.25 lengthwise here. And you're going to score at 4 inches instead of, your other 4.25. So that's this piece. Then we're going to need a piece of designer series paper. Ta-da-da. And I am using the Country Woods. Oh, I just love this paper. Who would have thought? I don't know. Who would think you would like wood so much? But if you haven't seen it, honestly, take a look. It is amazing. So we need this flat piece cut out of the designer series paper. If you were doing this in metric, it is going to be 10.1 centimeters by 10.1. If you were doing it in imperial, it's 3.75 by 3.75. We're going to put a line down the center. Now you can score this if you'd like, or just fold it because we're folding it in half. And I'm going to have to say, I'm so proud of this. As you guys know, I like to change things up to metric whenever I find a fold. And this fold was all over the place last year. And so I thought, well, I'll look up how to do it. And I kept coming up with, oh my God, it wants me to find this side of the triangle. Oh God, that's the same side. That's equilateral. But I don't have that number. I only have this number. Oh, how do we do that? I can't remember. I mean, honestly, it's been 50 years since I had to think of this. So I said, Google, how do you find the long side of an equilateral triangle? And it said, oh, you need the Pythagorean theorem. I was like, oh God, I forgot about him. Yeah. So I got the theorem from Google. I looked up how to did it. I did the math. And just to check myself, I redid it. Because I already knew what the square was going to be for the imperial. So I redid it in imperial to make sure that I had done it right. And so there you go. I came up with the 10.1 and I'm so proud of myself. My reintroduction to Mr. Pythagorean. So anyway, you want to stretch your brain, go try to find one side of a triangle or two sides of a triangle, but they're equilateral. So anyway, regardless, I figured this out. So this is the easy way for you guys. So it's 10.1 for all you metric lovers. And for imperial folks, it's going to be 3.75 by 3.75. Folded down the center. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do our card base. And I have embossed this. I wanted to show it to you. Now this embossing folder, oh, so beautiful. This is the Seaside Wishes. And as you know, the top label where it says Stampin' Up, that's going to be the front of your card. So I put it in here. Actually, I think if I'm going to put it upside down, like this, lined it up. On the side, can you see how I've done that there? And actually it just goes further, but I'm not going to run it through already today. And you're going to run it through, okay, here's your plate, right? You're going to put it on here and run it through like this. Yes, I know you're not supposed to do this. You're supposed to always run these embossing folders in with this folded edge going in first. But if you're very careful and you hold your sandwich, you break things, and you hold your sandwich very tight, like this, and feed it in very slowly. You can't, like I said, you're going to be holding on to it tight as you're feeding it in. You can do this without tearing up your embossing folder. Probably wouldn't do a whole lot of these. It wasn't, like I said, it wasn't really designed. It was designed to go through like this, so there's nothing to catch on. So when you're doing it this way, you run into the rollers pushing this, so it's cocking it sideways. So anyway, you can do it, just go slow. The other sort of a downside about going really slow is it's not quite as deep here in the center, because as I was holding it, I was really pushing down on this edge to keep it from, you know, popping through. But you're not going to be able to tell, and it's going to be underneath all the pretties that we're going to do. So anyway, I wanted to show that to you. That's how you need to do that. And like I said, I don't normally advocate running the folders through like that. But in this case, it was a two off because I made my sample first. But if you just do one off, it should be fine. So you fold it like that. Oh, I did stamp the inside. I stamped first because I didn't want to, if I messed up the stamping, then I would just get another sheet of paper and run it through. In this case, I just used the gray. What is the basic gray to stamp, because this is the same color as that. And I just stamped some of the dots. The dots are from this. The dots are from the, wow, there are no words. Oh, here they come. The dots are from the Seaside Wishes stamp set. This particular Happy Birthday, which has sort of turned out to be one of my favorites, paper I dropped, is from the Beach Day. So anyway, that's where that comes from. So stamp now, run it through, or run it through and then stamp, however. But I wouldn't get too much further along without doing this stamping. And then the easy part is you take your piece of paper out, and we're going to be gluing this down. But first, let's get our piece of paper that I worked so hard. And what we're going to do is we're going to fit this over just like that. Now, sometimes when you're cutting these, it's going to run you a tiny bit short. Sometimes it'll be a tiny bit over. It's just whichever way the blade flexed when it goes, when you run it through your trimmer. So I wouldn't sweat it. Like I said, this one's tiny bit short, but unless you are sitting here studying this, you can't tell. And if it's a tiny bit over, just take your scissors and trim it off, because you'll never see this back side. So we want the glue on the back side. Now I like to get it close to the edge, but not on the edge. Now see, just check and make sure you're gluing it to the correct side. Yes, I did almost glue it to the wrong side. So push it on there. Now, I don't know if you can see, I actually had the card closed because I want that to be tight up to it. So I have pushed the card closed. So now this is what we have, the inside of the card. And so you can see the line a little bit because you want it to fold over that other bit of cardstock. So it's smooth, so it folds nice and smooth for you. All right, and now we're going to glue it to the card base. And this is what's going to hold down this flap, because the flap does take a bit of stress. There are other ways you can do this. I sort of checked out a few of them, but I think that this particular setup probably was one of the best. Now, as you can see, I've got just a little bit showing all the way around. And that is actually the card finish, the card part. And now, let's do some decorating. Again, I used the folder. Let's move that to the side here. Where is it? I used this folder and I fitted it with the cutting blade and just ran a piece of white through here, and it nice and neatly cut out the pieces for me. So if you haven't, I think I did this once before. Then what I did was they were too stark on here. I put the white on here and the texture, it just, I don't know, it wasn't enough. So I added a little bit of gray. I tried using the basic gray and it was too dark. So I used my papers. I saw what other colors were in here, and one of the other colors was smoky slate. So I said, okay, great. I get out the smoky slate. Because I already, you know, that's the cheater's way to find out. Well, I already know it coordinates. So you just pop your blending brush into the ink. You can see where I've sort of dabbed it off a little bit. And then go to the center. And start in the center. A little bit harder when you're trying to hold it with your fingers, but there we go. And then I moved to the outside. Look at slightly more ink. See if I can go fast and get this done up for you. Now you can also, if you want to put a bit of color on here, because this is all bumpy, you can also do this on your card front. I tried it. I liked it better with because my first thought was I left my sand dollars white and then I did the card front. But I liked it better the other way around, where the sand dollars had the gray on them and the card front was white. So either way, that's just something, if you're playing with it, you might want to try and see, you know, which way you like it better. But I thought the sand dollars turned out better with a bit of gray. Okay, that looks pretty good. All right, there we go. And you can see I've done these other two already. I know you don't want to sit there and watch me go round and round with this brush, or maybe you do. The next thing we're going to do is do some more die cutting. Also included, now I call these pieces of coral, not really sure what they are, and then I call these pieces of plant, but I don't really know what they are. They're not marked. So these are all the pieces I cut. I die cut these extra pieces. This is one of the coordinating colors in here, which I looked it up, and this is Misty Moonlight. And then I used a little bit of that smoky gray to do the next one. Now, the way I put this together is, I don't know, I think it's interesting. What you are going to want to do is put it together on top of some sellotape. Or if you're really good, you can try your hand at picking up the pieces and then setting them back down. But for me, come on, sellotape. I just laid the sellotape down. I set all of this up and checked out the way I wanted to do it first. So I wanted to use this one on the far outside. So it's like that. And I knew I wanted this on top, but I want something else on here. So I put this piece down next. And yes, when I was doing it on my own, I was actually even more klutzy than this. And put that on there. Oops. I should have come over further. I don't want enough of this to show. You have to be careful with the sellotape. And then once you get it stuck down, you got to be able to get it back up. Don't want as much sellotape to show. Yeah, there we go. And we'll stick this out here, like that. And this one I'll do sort of on top. So yeah, I kind of want that one like that. Yep. Now this is going to depend on where this one goes. So let's do something like that. Yeah, looks pretty good. Come down here like that. All right. That one's not going to stick, so now we need to get our glue out. Oh, and I already know I can glue. I can glue to here, so once you know you've got your glue, glue it down. You're going to want this to dry before you place it on your piece. And I find with something that's as rough as these backgrounds are, it's just better to kind of spooge it on there and hope for the best. Well, not hope for the best, but get the best. Let's see. Can't let that stick out too much. All right, hold this down a minute. Now these two pieces, I've got them coming off the top, just to kind of spread my color out a bit. Come on, glue. There is plenty of glue in this bottle. It just doesn't want to flow. Let's tuck this under here. Oh, that looks pretty good. Get my secondary piece out here, which this way. Right. Now what we're going to do is we're going to carefully turn this over. The bits I haven't glued down. And we're going to cut off some of this tape. Let's use these. Let's retape first. This has to be smooth because this envelope tucks under here. So if this is all rough, then when you go to try to close the card back up, the envelope will catch. So the point of what we're doing here is we're making this as smooth as possible, especially where that envelope piece is going to be touching. So I found it a bit more expedient to use the sellotape. So there's nothing under there to catch under. Oops. Now, don't want this so much of this sellotape showing here. So you can see I didn't press that down hard. There we go. I'm just rubbing my finger over it. Nope, this might catch there. Let's do this one here. All right, and then just sort of touch it, run your finger over it, feel where the, yeah, that feels smooth now. And now we take our bit, oh, tie my knot. I used the, where is it? It should be right here on the top. I used the In Color twine. I had it in my head to go and use this color. But the blue, even though this is called boho blue, and there is boho blue in there, it looked really good with the Misty Moonlight because this is rather a dark piece of twine. So anyway, I just cut about, I don't know, That's a couple inches, about 5 centimeters worth. And tied it in a knot. Not complicated. Bad pun, I know. Okay. Just get a knot up flat. I'll sort of trim these so they're... Actually, I think I'll stick it down first. So sort of like the wild child look of the trim. Because, you know, stuff you get out of the sea is wild looking. I don't know. Sorry, guys, I think I'm losing my mind. I know I'm losing my voice. Still have rampant, insane amounts of pollen in the air. Come on. Put my glue dot down here. Ask it to please stay. There we go. I'll stick our knot on here. I always use glue dots for these because regular glue can push through and show on your fabric or your twine or jute or wherever it's called. And the glue dots have a tendency to, once you get them stuck down, they stay stuck down. All right, and then we're going to give it a haircut. So we go. There we go. So we got some crazy twine. All right. And if you have these are the perfect jewels for this, because if you look on here, these are like all, they're not symmetrical. They're all sort of lopsided-y dots and bubbles. And these pearls are so perfect. Besides, I like wonky things. Yeah, I know. Blame it on my mother. She did too. So I used a large wonky on here, like that. Add a bit of sparkle, and then we'll put some more on the card. Let's get this out of the way. And what we need are dimensionals. That's probably going to take you a little bit of fiddling, because it took me a lot of fiddling. So you put this on here about where you want it to go. And you're going to have to use your imagination about where to put these dots. Dots, excuse me. This is what I want. This is what I want right here. Stampin' Dimensionals. Now I can tell you right off the bat, you're going to need some little half ones up here. So those we can stick on. Oh, go on. You get out of my way. There we go. And I got another half dimensional here. Like this. Yeah, do your best not to get these things stuck in the dimensionals. They don't come out. And then your dimensionals don't stick anymore. Bet you want to know how I know that one. All right, we know we're going to want one here. We know we're going to want one here. See how I'm checking? I've got a visual line marking it. So let's put one right here. Okay. Let's check again. Okay, hold down your dimensional. And we need one right on that dent right there. Now, we've built ourselves this sort of an imaginary triangle here, which should mirror this. So now we're just going to add a few more. So you've got it, oops. I just sort of made a line going down so I could see. And this is pretty sturdy by itself. That's why I use so many layers on it. So that should be enough to keep it from collapsing on you. And then you take all of the little papers off, cross your fingers, and stick it on your card, hoping you got it right. Now, like first time, because this is the second time I'm doing this, so it's a little bit easier. And it depends on what kind of decoration you want to put on here. I mean, you probably won't even be using this set. You'll probably be using flowers. So find your bottom dimensional right there. Kind of put your finger on it. Know where your top one is. And get it, whoops, get it down. Now, I didn't stick mine down hard. I just set it down there. Let me see if it's stuck. Nope, it's not stuck on anything. There's my top edge. There's my bottom edge. Check this again. Okay, it's hung up on something. Which one is hanging? The top one is hanging up. The top one needs to be moved back a shot. Okay, let's try that again. That's it. All right, guys, give it a good smash. And we are done. Oh, wait, we need a few more pearls, don't you think? I think so. I love these little pearls. So let's put some little ones. I can put one about here, yeah. And let's go down here. How about there? Okay, what do you think? Yeah, do you like it? One envelope card ready to go. Now, I suppose you could run it through the mail just like this, but I wouldn't. I'd put it in another envelope. But there we go. That's today's card. I hope you guys enjoyed that. It was quick. It was easy. This can work with anything that has a focal point. But you can do it with like a square and then put your focal point on top. But I think it's most effective if you've got some large die cuts. I think it makes it a little bit nicer. So anyway, have a lovely crafty day. If you liked this video and you're watching the replay, I would appreciate a thumbs up and a subscribe so you can get more cool card ideas or other things. I'm going to be doing some other things pretty soon. And if you are watching this on my Facebook, then I love a little heart. Anyway, have a great weekend, guys. See you soon.